Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave.
Back in 2004, the T15004 is the most powerful 4-channel amplifier Rockford Fosgate has ever made up to that point. Let's look at the 2004 Cart Audio Electronics directory. Flip to the Rockford Fosgate section. There it is, $1,100, 125 by 4, 750 by 2. That's equivalent to about $1,620 in 2022. The most powerful Rockford Fosgate 4-channel amp ever, the T15KW, was introduced in 2006. Tony DeMoore hybrid design, cost $25,000 US, 15,000 watts RMS. It was a hybrid amplifier. Very cool, very hard to find. But let's switch to the T15004 and take a closer look, see what it's all about. This one painted blue, a purchase from a friend, Scott D. Appreciate that, Scott. Let's check out the dimensions here. We have 33 inches for the length, 12.8 inches for the width, 2.6 inches for the height. This is a big amp. Just compare with some of the old school amps. Here is the Rockford Power 1000 MOSFET C, the Chrome Edition. You can see this T15004 makes this Power 1000 look like, a baby amp. But both these amps are really big. But if you want to switch to the new school, the Stereo Integrity SIQ 200.2 also doesn't look so massive compared to this Rockford amp. This has what's called stealth connections, which means you have to take this front panel off with 2 screws with a 6mm Allen key. Yes, he let me borrow this for the test. And we can see the different options here on the amp. We'll take a closer look here. First, starting on the left, we have the speaker outputs. These accept anywhere from 18 gauge down to 8 gauge. And it's really nice how these clamp down. You can see when putting a screwdriver in here, for example, the whole mechanism slides up, so it makes a really good connection. Then we have the remote connection for the bass knob. This is a really cool bass knob. It allows you to adjust not only the dB from 0 to 18, but also the frequency from 35 to 70. So really nice there. Of course, it includes the cable, and this was included with the amp, so very nice. We also have an infrasonic filter for 27 Hz at 12 dB, gain control, frequency multiplier for high pass. We have a switch for low pass, all pass, or high pass. All pass, of course, will be full range. If you use low pass or high pass, you can select 12 or 24 dB for your slope and adjust your frequency. We also have RCAs for front input, rear input, and a pass-through. The pass-through can actually be set up for low pass, all pass, or high pass. And there is a button to push to go between 2-channel and 4-channel for the input, so you can just use the front inputs if you'd like. The crossover for the rear is the same as the front. On the right side, we have power and ground for 1.0 inputs. Also remote connection, we have a 250 amp A&L style fuse built in. Nice beefy inputs here for 1.0. And then let's take the cover off and tease you a little bit. Psych! We'll show that later. For ratings, at 4 ohms, 125 by 4, 2 ohms, 250 by 4, 1 ohm, 375 by 4, bridged at 4 ohms, 500 by 2, 2 ohms, 750 by 2. Now let's get the amp all connected up so we can hook it up to the dyno. As for the gain setting, people ask all the time, what do you set the gain to on the amp? Well, I match it to the head unit with the DD1 Plus and a 10 dB overlap for testing on the dyno. Speaking of the dyno, let's fire it up. Since we've already got the amp connected, let's talk about a little bit about some of the tests you're going to see. On the left side, you're going to see the power output, which is RMS power in watts. You'll see the ohm load in the middle, voltage on the right, and you'll also see the remote connection for the clamp meter, which will be able to give us efficiency. 4-channel test at 40 Hertz. All 4 channels are loaded. 2 of them are tested. Rated 125 by 4. It doesn't give us a voltage. We're not specified. We're assuming 14.4. Let's check it out here. Certified at 4 ohms. Check this out. Yeah, boy. 296 watts per channel. It's rated 125. Yeah, that's like double plus some. What is up here? Uncertified to clipping. Yeah, 293, 298. Almost 300 watts per channel. This is like crazy. Why in the world they rated at 125? They could have easily rated it 250 and it would have made its power. Dynamically, look at this. We're into the 350s times 4. Again, that's not times 2. Efficiency 56%. We don't expect it to be high. This is a class AB amplifier. That's why it's so big. 2 ohms, 4 channel, rated 250 by 4. As you can probably expect, this joker's going to blow that out of the water. Now, channel 2, I think that the potentiometer was a little dirty. That's why it didn't count cleanly. 580 watts by 4. It's rated 250 by 4. Again, friends, this is insanity. I mean, that's why this amp is so freaking big. And I don't know why they rated it the way they did. Look at this. 580 watts per channel, uncertified to clipping. That's over 2,000 watts. I mean, crazy totals here. Dynamic power, 633, and it keeps going up because our voltage is strong using the lithium bank. We're going to end out around 680 or so when you average the two. Now, this is a 1 ohm stable amp at 4 channels, which is unusual for Class AB. Rated 250 by 4. Look at this. 800 watts times 4, where it's rated 250. It's like more than 3 times the rated power. Insane! Uncertified to clipping. Yeah, we're still right around like 830 watts when you combine the two. Now, the difference in the channels here, you will never see this because the dB is so low. Dynamically, look at this. Okay, so over 1,100 watts times 4, 4,400 watts from this amplifier, Class AB. Just insane. Now, let's bridge the amp down to the 2-channel mode at 40 hertz and try it. Now, 4 ohms is rated 500 by 2. Based on what we've seen before, we know it's going to do more than this. And we even lowered the voltage this time. 887 times 2, under 14 volts.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, boy. Now let's crank that voltage up and try it again in the high 14s. And there you go. Over 900, about 920 watts per channel times 2, where it's rated 500 by 2. So nearly double the rated power. Uncertified to clipping. There you go. 950 when you average both of them times 2 at clipping, 40 hertz. Yo, this amp got some strength and dynamic burst. Over 2,500 watts where it's rated 1,000. Insane.
Is that thing turbocharged?
Once again, when you're rocking an old school amp like this, you're not worried about efficiency. 55%, not very good, but hey, is what it is. Now, 2 ohms bridged is a 1 ohm per channel load on the amp. Let's try it here. Certified to lower voltage. We got right around 1,000, a little bit over, close to 1,100 watts times 2. Again, let's crank the voltage up. That was under 14. There you go. So about 1,150 watts per channel averaged out. Certified to 1% THD. That's all and well, but if you like exciting numbers, just sit back and check this out.
Hold on to your butts.
And yo, just because you don't like the dynamic test, don't steal my thunder. Check it out. 4,400 watts, 2 ohms dynamic. Get some of that. That's right, we rocking the bridge, we're rocking the efficiency too, 46%, not so good. As results, here they all are. You just pretty much saw all the different tests. Overall, this amp is a beast. 4-channel amp, almost 20 years old, still living up to its infamous status as being, you know, like the second biggest 4-channel amp Rockford Fosgate ever made. Well, now let's hook it up to some speakers. Find out, shall it have bumpeth? Big Fosgate 4-channel. Let's try it in the 3-channel, or really the 4-channel mode, because it's powering the subs with the rear channels, the bookshelf speakers with the front. So let's try a little Smoke Jacket Blues. Is usually about halfway through the song. We're going to crank it up so you guys can hear it. Here we go. these parts where I'm showing the subwoofer off, you really need headphones or really nice speakers to be able to hear the low end difference here when we add the bass. After playing some of my favorite tracks for about 30-45 minutes or so, I disconnected it and put it on the bench here so we could check the temperature. You'll notice the way the outside is the hottest, and this is the way this amp is designed by Rockford Fosgate, and we'll get into that here in a little bit as soon as we take the amp apart. So speaking of that, let's get to the insides of the amp and find out what it's all about, what makes it tick. After a few minutes of disassembly, we can finally take the top panel off, take a closer look at the amplifier. The first thing you'll notice is it's really split into two. On the left side, we have the output section, which includes the input, crossover, and processing. On the right side, we have the power supply, which has some of the stiffening capacitors as well. But here's a little jumper that goes from one board to the other. Did notice it had some dust on it, so I tried to clean it off a little bit. Use some compressed air as well to help get rid of some of that dust. You will notice some extra material around the transformers though, so it looks like this amp possibly was worked on before. But just look at the massiveness here. On the power supply section, you can see these beefy TO247s for the transistors. These are beefy, a lot bigger than the TO220s. And again, this is the power supply board. And Rockford's really big on stressing these TO247s as having 60% more surface area for increased cooling, larger MOSFETs, all that stuff. And it also has Nichicons here for the rails. It has these 80 volt, 4700 microfarad stiffening capacitors. And then we have a 63 volt, 330 microfarad there on the power supply section. On the output section, you can see here, again, the amp is split in half, and now you can see what's up with the thermal here because the transistors are lined up all on the outside of the amp. This helps with the thermal cooling. They talk about in their thermal design how they designed to push all the air to the outside to help cool the amplifier. So these are unique. These are bespoke designs. Very cool. Now let's talk about the pros and cons, things I like, things I wish could be better. Good stuff. It is beastly, demands respect. Class AB for SQ heads. 2-channel input option means you only have to use 2 RCAs instead of 4. Low pass or high pass for the crossovers, front and rear channels. Parametric bass remote, which is really nice. Single amp solution if you only use 1 amp for your whole setup. Other things to consider is it's huge, it's inefficient, a heater, has standard RCA jacks. Why not Tiffany? Maybe Debbie Gibson had something to say about it. It's way larger than Class D. Expensive, yeah, probably even on the used market. And Rockford, what's up? No VU meters on an amp this big? Gotta be kidding me. Overall, amp was really cool. Thanks to Scott for helping me out, hooking me up with a deal. I seriously don't spend enough time thanking you guys who watch my channel, who support me. I greatly appreciate when you guys watch my videos, share it with your friends, leave comments, all that stuff. This is a great community, and you guys are what really make it great. So thank you for always watching my videos. It's greatly appreciated. Until next time, Big D, I'm out of here.
Well, folks, it's time to kick it old school. So you can feel cool. Give it to me, baby. Baby. Yeah.
You know how them sound waves go?
Hustle hard, hustle every single